In this video, we're going to make an assembly of some of the blocks that you've made already. So we're still in our 1.1 solid models folder, and you should have 6 blocks in your folder, right? So we walked through these, and then there were 2 other rectangular prisms that you should have been able to make pretty easy based on your measurements. So we're going to make a new file, but we're going to put a bunch of blocks in an assembly together. So I gave you some blocks, you got them stacked up. You're going to make that in here. So to do this, to start, we're in a new file, right? If you haven't, click the little tab, add a new design right there. And let's start. So the design is right here. It's called unsaved right now because I haven't saved it. So you can either save it as something or we can save it at the end, right? But right now, this is our main design. So to do this, we're going to make different blocks as components of the main file. So how do we do that? We make sure this is checked. Come up here, click Create, New Component. So we're going to insert a component. And leave these alone, internal, type of standard. We're going to change the name of this to what you're adding. So I'm going to do like a cube, a cylinder, and a rectangular prism. So I'll start with the rectangular prism. So we'll click OK, gave it a name. So notice before, that radio box was checked because that's what you were working on. But now you're working on this new component that you just made, right? Make sure that's the little radio button right there is clicked. So now we're working on just rectangular prism. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my rectangular prism. So I'm going to create the box. I'm going to choose the top plane. And let's say it's 4 by 2. We'll do it like that. And then it was 1 high. So again, I'm just making these up to make it look like the blocks. You're doing it based on the actual measurements of the block. So now I've got a rectangular prism, right? So I'm going to change the appearance. Let's put some paint on it like we did before. We'll make it yellow. And then close. So now I've got a yellow rectangular prism. So now I want to draw a cube next to it. So don't just go start drawing a cube. I want to make the cube separate, a different piece, so that I can work on just that piece. So to do that, make sure this radio box right here is highlighted up here. So we're going to go change from rectangular prism 1. I'm going to click the one on my top level design. Make sure that's highlighted. So now see how that went away? When it's on, I can see it, but when I click the main level, that kind of goes away and I can see everything. There's only one thing in here now. So I'm going to go create new component. I'm in the top level. And I'll make a cube. So hit OK. And now notice that went away. I can still kind of see it in case I want to draw something on it, right? So I could draw the cube on top of it like this. Or I could draw it on the side or however. But I don't want to do that. I want to draw it behind it. So if you want to, if this is distracting, you can hide it by clicking that little eye right there. So see how it's gone now? You can make it come back. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to make the cube kind of back here on the ground. So I'll go create box, and I'm going to pick the top. Don't pick, I can again pick the top or the sides. I don't want that. I want to pick the top plane. So now I'm drawing on the top plane. So let's make a cube that's butted right up against it. So I'll start like right there. And I'll make a 1.5 by 1.5 by 1.5 cube. And there's my cube. And let's color it. Change the appearance. Let's make my cube green. All right, so now got my cube. Still got my rectangular prism. So notice when I click that, the cube goes away. I need to go back to the top level. I'm going to do one more piece. I'm going to do one more thing, cylinder, on top of that rectangular prism. So again, go back to your top level, click that button. I can see all of it, right? But now I'm in the top level designing. So I'm going to go create, new component, and I'm going to make the cylinder now. Click OK. And I want to draw this cylinder on the top face of this rectangular prism. So I'm going to go create, cylinder, and when I choose a plane, see I got all these different planes to choose from. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing it on the top of this rectangular prism. You can see the different planes light up. You can tell the difference between that one and that one because of where the plane is aligned. So click that. I want to find the middle of this plane. So again, we talked about how if you move this, if you put the cursor on edges and you move around, you can find important points. So like right there, that's the center of that side. And if I go over here, I can find the center right there of that side. See how it changes when it gets there? So if I come out from here, I should be able to make those two centers line up right there. See how it changes? And that blue line shows up? That's the center point. So I click it, and now I can make my cylinder, make it 1.5 wide and 3 tall. And let's make my cylinder, let's make it blue. Do I have blue? I got blue. Now my cylinder is blue. So there we go. So now I've got my cylinder, I've got my cube, I've got my rectangular prism, and when I look at the top level, if I click that, I can see all 3 of them. That's my what's called an assembly. This is called top-down modeling. We'll learn about top-down versus bottom-up later. So these 3 things are their own designs, but they're all in one big design here. So the last thing we got to do, we have it set up. Let's go save it. So I'm going to go save, and let's give it a name. So I'll call it block assembly. Save it. And now my overall design block assembly contains these 3 components inside of it. And once you got that, you're done.